Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبيه ومصطفاه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Dear viewers everywhere, welcome to a new edition of your program, Ask Huda. I'd like to remind you in the beginning of our program with the phone numbers beginning with the area code 002023855, 248 or 249. And the email addresses are ask@huda.tv, alternatively gardens@huda.tv. Barakallah fikum. Our first caller tonight is Brother Hamid from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, Hamid.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Dr. Salah.
How are you, Brother Hamid?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I love you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Barakallah feek. What a beautiful beginning.
And wish you and your family all the best, inshallah.
Thank you so much. Same
May Allah
here.
reward
I
you
love you for the sake of
guiding
Allah.
us towards the right direction.
Ameen, ameen. Thank you so much. May Allah bless you, Brother Hamid, and your family.
So I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Earlier I used to attend the weekly durus of various religious parties.
Mm-hmm.
But later I found them making me believe that whatever they say, authentic or unauthentic, is to be adhered to, which forced me to leave each one of them.
Mm.
Thereafter, I kept on acquiring and enhancing my knowledge about Islam by reading the glorious Quran and its explanation and authentic hadith books from some great Islamic scholars, and also watching some Islamic TV channels like Huda TV and others.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I have some doubts, I call Ask Huda and get the clarification. After that, I convey all the authentic information that I acquired through these sources to others, in line with the famous hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said that "Ballighu anni walau aya."
Nah.
I have a friend who has objection to all that I am doing. He says all this is not going to help me or others, and instead advises me to go with him and with other members of his Jamaat for 3 days or more, and then see by myself that how they enjoy the experience of going with them and reap the fruits by myself.
Mm.
For the last 20 years, this friend of mine has been trying to take me towards, his way of looking at it, but I have been able so far to avoid that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm continuing doing the way I have been doing. I just want your advice, am I doing right, or I have to follow them? This is one question.
Okay.
My second, this is an inquiry also. I have heard in hadith which says that our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to his Sahaba that if you leave 10% of deen, you will be at loss. And a time is going to come when people will be doing all sorts of bad deeds, and at the same time, if someone follows only 10% of deen, will be forgiven. I don't know that is this time or maybe 50 years later or maybe 1,000 years later, this 10% is what 10%.
Mm.
Is this an authentic hadith? I just want just your view on that.
No.
Thank you and Jazakallah.
Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair, Brother Hamid. With regards to your first question and inquiry, Alhamdulillah, so far what you're doing is just fine. Alhamdulillah. The Prophet ﷺ said in the sound hadith, which is narrated by Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The preference and the goodness will be with regards to learning, then transferring this knowledge, anything that is relating to the Quran. The best of you will be the person who learns the Quran, then teaches it to others. It's impossible to teach without the proper knowledge. And it's very important to convey only what is authentic, because the Prophet ﷺ narrated in the hadith that whosoever tells a lie about me or ascribes a statement to me which I did not say, then let him expect his seat in the fire of hell. And they say, كَم مِّن مُرِيدٍ لِلْخَيْرِ لَا يُدْرِكُهُ. How many people who wish well, but their actions prove otherwise. So you want to invite people, you want to give da'wah, you want to be saved, but you're taking the wrong route, the wrong path. The right path is adhering to the Quran and to the sound sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Is it difficult? It's very easy, it's very simple. The sources available, very much, they are available as well. As far as giving da'wah and doing khuruj for several days and so on, I would just like to take a few calls first, then inshallah I'll resume answering this. Brother Abu Safwan from Kuwait.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Brother Abu Safwan.
Okay. Jazakallah. Sheikh, I have this question. Actually, this come from quite far, North America, from New York. My daughter, she asked me this question. Actually, inshallah, they are planning for Hajj, she and her husband, inshallah. So tomorrow they have to go to the agent to decide about all this, to make advance and decide about these Hajj arrangements. So she was asking me, do they supposed to perform this, what we say, istiqara for this Hajj and Umrah? Because obviously there is involvement of this agent and all those things. So if you kindly answer me, because tomorrow they have the appointment.
Okay.
Thank you, Jazakallah.
Thank you, Brother
This
Abu
is my
Safwan.
question.
Barakallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ashfaq from the KSA, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, brother.
Sheikh, I have two questions, inshallah. My first question, that is, praying in Khatim area is like praying inside a Kaaba. Is there any special reward for praying there, or is it just as praying anywhere inside the Arab Sharif?
Okay.
My second question, there is a hadith, like what we say in back home in India and Pakistan, like covering the hair for the women at home. And they say there is a hadith when our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was with Khadijat al-Kubra radiallahu ta'ala anha. Jibreel alayhi salam comes there, and all of a sudden he disappears. After some time again, after Khadija radiallahu ta'ala moves from there, he appears again, and then Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked him, why did you disappear? Then he said, no, I just came here and I saw that the Khadija radiallahu ta'ala was not covering her head. So we cannot enter into a house where the woman is not covering her head. If this is authentic, Sheikh, Jazakallah khair.
Okay, thank you, brother. Ashfaq from the KSA. So, Brother Hamid, giving da'wah is not limited to a certain time or place. Rather, we repeatedly mention that Allah the Almighty say to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين, Surah Yusuf. Which means, this is my path. I call unto Allah on an insight, me and those who follow me. Every follower of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be a preacher, should convey the message, which is at-tawheed. It is not limited to certain group or certain party or certain people. And by the way, I have been repeatedly asked and answered the question about the brothers of the Tablighi Jama'ah. The question is already online, so I don't have to repeat my answer. But I hate to see people forcing others to join a particular Jama'ah and forcing them to go for khuruj for a particular number of days and claiming that that is the ultimate truth and that is the way that we should give da'wah through. I disagree. I give da'wah whenever I'm traveling in the plane, the passenger next to me, in the train, my colleague at work, my daughters, my sons, my wife, my parents, my neighbors, every person around me, Muslims or non-Muslims. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. As in Surah Al-Asr, we explained that before. There is no reference that a person must go for khuruj for 3 days every month. Okay? I admire what the brothers doing as far as their sincerity, their sincere intention. But again, it is not your right to force people or try to convince them that this is the ultimate truth without relying on a reference. I say again, what I'm doing right now is da'wah. And when I go to another channel is da'wah. When I'm flying to another country, is da'wah in the other country? in the lecture, in the seminar, in the function, and while flying, whichever means of transportation. So you have the possibility and the chances of giving da'wah everywhere and every time, based on the capacity and the feasibility. Sometimes you think based on the benefit-risk issue, you know what, it's better to be quiet, or it's better to speak in this, not to speak in that, and the tone, and so on. It's an art. Giving da'wah is an art. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Muhammad from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, brother Muhammad.
Yes, Dr. Muhammad Salah.
Welcome.
I am so thankful to Your Excellency, Dr. Muhammad, for giving these complete answers for the viewers.
Jazakallah khairan, but you know, the word excellency is a big word. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah reward you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. The question is, Dr. Muhammad, about the prescribed period for the woman who wants to separate from her husband or breaks off from her husband, which I mean khula in Islam. I wanted to know how long does the woman who wants to break off her husband can be allowed?
Okay. عدة الخلع.
Yes. This is one question. Another question, sir, about the poor Jews or the share of the poor and the needy in the Holy Quran, especially the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah or the chapter of the cow, which starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. يسألونك ماذا ينفقون
قل العفو.
قل العفو. What is meant by عفو, Dr. Muhammad? And is the prescribed share for the poor and the needy in Islam?
Okay. Sure. Barakallah feek.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad.
Thank you, brother Muhammad. Barakallah feek. I think Brother Hamid as well inquired about, tribulations towards the end of time and so on. There is a sound hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم يصبح المرء مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا. That's a sound hadith. Hasten to do good deeds before you will be afflicted with tribulations. Eventually towards the end of time, what will happen is that these tribulations, whether with regards to lust and desire or with regards to doubts and suspicions, I'm talking about in religion, where the person, as the Prophet ﷺ said, will be like in patches of darkness, like the patches of darkness of the night, of the dark night. A person can get up in the morning as a believer. Then he may have doubts. He may suspect that he is not really following the truth, and he can end up abandoning the deen altogether by the evening. And a person who's a believer in the evening can get up only during the night. Things would happen to him because of the tribulations, the fitan al-shahawat, fitan al-shubuhat, can change the person's faith from belief to disbelief overnight. So basically, whether this is a time, as you are asking, or the time will come, it does not necessarily have to be worldwide. There are some countries where the fitan and tribulations are like at maximum, or much greater than other countries. But the person has to seize the opportunity of living in peace, being able to acquire knowledge as you do, and practice what he learns, as also that you mentioned, alhamdulillah, that you do, and to pass on this knowledge to others. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Muhammad from Algeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question today is about my neighbor. One day in Ramadan, it was a very sunny day, and he was very thirsty, and he had drunk some water. He did mean it. He didn't done it by mistake. He meant it. And he did pay it back only one day. How he will pay it back? 60 days or one day only?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Barakallahu fik.
Wafiq, brother Muhammad from Algeria. Next time you can ask your question in French and we'll find a French interpreter, inshallah. Muhammad, since he drank out of forgetfulness, there is no penalty nor ransom. Simply, as the Prophet ﷺ said, if any of you happen to eat or drink while forgetting during the fasting of Ramadan, then فَإِنَّمَا أَطْعَمَهُ اللَّهُ وَسَقَى. This is a gift from Allah. So even if it is a full meal, not just a little sip of drink or water, which means resume fasting and there is no penalty, nor do you have to make up that day. Abu Safwan from the KSA, his daughter and her husband in New York City, tomorrow inshallah planning on visiting some travel agents in order to plan for Hajj. Do they have to pray istikhara? As far as performing Hajj, no. You don't pray istikhara to do the act of worship. You're obliged to do it. You don't pray istikhara to fast or not to fast. You don't pray istikhara to do the Hajj or not. It's a great deed. But rather you do the istikhara with regards to, you have a couple of options. This travel agency or that travel agency. This person or that person, to stay here or to go with this or with that. That's okay. The packages. If you like my personal recommendation, I will be more than happy to do that. If you drop me an email at gardens@huda.tv, I can assist you in this regard, inshallah azza wa jal. Not, of course, to advertise because it's not commercial. Brother Ashfaq from the KSA, praying in Al-Hijr. Al-Hijr is the area which is besieged with the arsh in the opposite direction of the black stone corner and a Rukn al-Yamani corner. You see there's like an arch or half circle. A couple yards or meters from the wall of the Kaaba, this area originally belonged to the Kaaba. And when the Prophet ﷺ was 35 years old and 5 years before the prophethood, when the Kaaba was falling apart, the Meccans decided to rebuild it, but they vowed not to invest in the construction of the Kaaba, but lawful money which is earned lawfully. So they ran out of fund, and because of that, the construction of the Kaaba was on two of the original pillars, which is Al-Rukn al-Yamani and the black stone corner from one side, while the other side they ran short, so they pulled it towards the Kaaba and they did not complete the construction of the whole Kaaba. So everything happens for a reason, alhamdulillah. Even though you're not a king, you're not a ruler, you're not a big shot, every person, every ordinary person can still get to pray inside the Kaaba by praying in this area, in Al-Hijr. Some people like to call it Hijr Ismail. There is no origin for this nomenclature. Rather, it's called Al-Hijr. Okay? And get as close as you can to the Kaaba. Is there a special dua? No, there is no special dua. The dua is when you enter the Haram in general, or Al-Masjid. When you say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and you say, Allahumma, Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah, Allahumma aghfir li dhunubi waftah li abwaba rahmatik. Allahumma aghfir li dhunubi waftah li abwaba rahmatik. Oh Allah, forgive me my sins and open for me the doors of your mercy. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beatrice from Egypt. Sister Beatrice, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, thank you. One of my questions is about prayers, as in when you miss an obligatory prayer, but not for a valid reason, like not sleeping and not being sick, or not like that. You miss it and you're guilty. So you want to make up, but the only way is to pray sunnahs, right? And just hope that Allah will accept it. But my question is, do you have to, when you pray that sunnah, you have to make an intention for making up for the missed prayer?
Okay, Sister Beatrice, how many missed prayers are we talking about there?
Sorry?
How many missed prayers? Is it one, or we're talking about like years?
Yeah, like I'm talking like months.
Months, okay. So several prayers. Okay, your second question, please.
Okay, and And also, I want to know, like, if you're intending to make up for a prayer of 2 rakah, like Fajr, you have to make up with the sunnah of 2 rakah and the same, like 4 rakah with 4 rakah. Does it have to be the same? And okay, and another question I wanted to ask you about this. You know how you find on some supplications or some. But they're like, they sound like music. They're not music as like they don't have instruments, but they have like one voice, 2 voices, and like a humming, a background humming, and it's basically like a musical arrangement.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking, isn't this like should we listen to this, or should we just turn off the TV or whatever?
Okay.
Because my point is, and I would like you to comment, like to explain if my points are valid or not. Isn't it like imitating the Christians, first of all, and second of all, we're saying big things like La ilaha illallah, which is so heavy, but we're saying it so lightly. We're saying it, and it comes back to your mind, maybe in prayer or in other moments, and it comes like basically we're enjoying the tune, we're not enjoying the words. Right? Okay, so just if you please can comment on that, please.
Sister Beatrice, your second question, you inquired about the sunnah 2 rakahs or 2 by 2, or for which sunnah? Okay, I guess I got the question. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Aisha from United Arab Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm just fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. This is regarding like some of my relatives. They are like they visit some places like Dargah. You must be aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to them regarding this, that we should not be visiting such places, they start argument with me, and then like it goes far further more, and then I have to just keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
And the second thing is regarding Fatiha. You must be aware of that. They put some food in front and then they read Quran.
Yeah. Did they ever accuse you of being Wahhabi?
Hello? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum.
Accused?
Aisha, did they ever accuse you of being Wahhabian, fanatic, extremist, and so on?
Yeah, they just tell me different, like you are from like Saudi, some Shafi and all that.
Okay. Aisha, like, can you share with the viewers, like some of the practices which you object to when these guys make that visit?
Yeah.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't get you.
Aisha, can you share with us some of the practices which you think they're wrong and you object to, that when those guys go to these places, they do, and that's why you're objecting to it?
Yeah, because they're going to the Dargah, they will go and pray, and so this is the first thing, and for Fatiha.
Okay.
And they say that you are without Fatiha. You people are like you have become without Fatiha, and we are with Fatiha. So they argue in that stuff. And when I tell that it's nothing like this mentioned in any hadith, as I'm regularly listening to you, and they just say no, this is a different like Shafi and all that, they follow this stuff and all that.
Okay.
So that is a problem. Like how to convince them? Like it's really difficult. They start argument, and which doesn't have any hadith. They just want to show that we are correct.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Aisha.
Yeah.
Okay. With regards to women wearing hijab at home and with that prevent the angels from entering the house, no, that is not true. Women at home and before their maharim don't have to wear hijab. Hijab will be only required, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whether in Surah Al-Ahzab or in Surah An-Nur in ayah number 31 is before men who are not mahram. And at home, only whenever you have to pray that you should wear your hijab and cover the entire body except for the hands and the face. But sitting in comfort, feel very convenient. You don't have to wear hijab, whether you're making adhkar or watching a religious program or even while reciting the Quran. Whenever I'm asked about even reciting the Quran, I said, if you want to, that's fine, but it is not obligatory. It is not obligatory. It is only mandatory upon entering the prayer or offering the prayer. And thank you, Brother Ashfaq. Brother Muhammad from Egypt, I appreciate your compliment. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khairan. Al-khula is when the woman seeks separation from her husband with an agreement that she will pay him back whatever he paid as a dowry in order to release her. Sometimes it happened with an agreement between both of them, or sometimes the judge would utilize his right in separating them. So al-khul' will be treated as fasakh in this case. And the iddah, accordingly, will be the more right view, similar to the iddah of divorce. 3 periods or 3 months, which I answered you in the last episode, and I quoted the ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah and the ayat of Surah Al-Talaq as well. I don't have to repeat them. But a major difference between Al-Khul'a and Al-Talaq, Brother Muhammad, is that in the case of Talaq, when the man gives divorce to his wife, whether it is the first or the second time, that he still possesses the right of taking her back into his marriage life without her consent. And in this case, he would not require a new dowry, a new marriage contract, or even the approval of her guardian. She is still his wife. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the beginning of Surah Al-Talaq, لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة. She must stay with you in the same house during the iddah, after the first and the second talaq. Why? Because it's called reversible, revocable. But in the case of the khul'a, and once you guys agreed that she will drop your payment or will pay you back whatever you paid her as dowry, it becomes irreversible. It is not up to you. Similarly, if the separation was by the judge's decision, you don't have the right to take her back. But you have the right to be respected during the iddah that she cannot accept marriage proposals. And if a woman were to marry during the iddah, her marriage will be invalid. Okay? The iddah is the right of the former husband, because you never know. Maybe she conceived. Even if she says, well, we didn't have a relationship for a while, this is the iddah which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated. وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ. We discussed this ayah in the last time. Okay? Barakallah fikum. Thank you. Surah Al-Baqarah. يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو. العفو means what is extra, more than your basic needs. So the ayah contained a couple of questions. يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر. They ask you with regards to drinking and gambling. Then afterward, ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون. And they ask you, what should they spend? قل العفو. Al-afw is what is more than your basic needs. It's something that which you don't really rely on. Like Allah is not asking you to take your basic necessity and give it to the poor. But here we're talking about what kind of charity? We're talking about the voluntary charity. With regards to the mandatory charity and its explanation and who are eligible to receive it in ayah number 60 of Surah At-Tawbah, this is only when you possess the nisab. And if you possess the nisab, which is, for instance, 85 grams of gold, 595 grams of silver, or what is equivalent to that of cash, investment, stocks, CDs, whatever. So definitely this is extra, more than your needs. Even in the mandatory zakah, Allah is not asking you to pay zakah on your house, on your condo, or your car. if you have 2 or 3, as long as this is for your personal use and for your household use, is not zakatable. So the word al-afw is what is extra than your need. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Ahmed from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Ahlan wa sahlan, Brother Ahmed. Go ahead, yes.
I ask you, how it's between khul and talaq?
What do you mean?
I mean, how about difficult from between khul and talaq?
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Brother Ahmed. Thank you. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back inshallah in a couple of minutes. Please stay tuned.
Imagine that the Anbiya, they were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest times.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, a better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. You had Fir'aun and
reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing insincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay, now I'll have fun with my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amir, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
We can't just take knowledge and keep it as information. We have to transfer it into action. When he got up, he said one thing. Asalla nas? Did the people pray? In Hajj, for example, the primary example of how multiculturalism really looks like. All equal. I've got a dentist in Canada. Even though he's ripping holes in my teeth, he's got great akhlaq. I love visiting him. Identify the issue. Analyze it. Challenge it. And then try again. Because if you fail, big deal. Try again and keep trying.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. We have a caller already, Brother Muhammad from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad.
Welcome, Sheikh. Sheikh, I have one question regarding the interest money which I have in India in the bank. So I want to give to someone. So can I give this to relatives for marriages, or can I help them? Or
yeah, for poor people who are in need for the charity anyway, yes, you can. Okay? But not to favor yourself or your family members with.
Yeah.
Okay?
Other than the family, like my cousins or something, for marriage also.
Yes, if they're poor and eligible, yes. And by the way, the interest money which is collected because you don't have an alternative. One of the means of getting rid of the sin is just to distribute it, to give it away to poor, to hospitals, to orphanage, or whatever, and we hope that the punishment will be waived, and if there is any reward, will be for avoiding the haram. But this is not a charity. The money which is earned unlawfully, if you give it away, it is not a charity. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ طَيِّبٌ لَا يَقْبَلُ إِلَّا طَيِّبًا. Allah is good, and He only accepts that which is good. Thank you, Brother Muhammad from KSA. Sister Khadija from Gambia. Please try again, no problem. Now, before I answer Sister Patrick's questions, Ahmed from Egypt, his question was pretty much relating to Brother Muhammad's question from Egypt as well, where he asked about the difference between al-khula and al-talaq. And I did answer it just a couple minutes before the break. But al-khula is whenever the woman wants out and the husband does not want to divorce. So she would either strike a deal with him that I would pay you whatever you paid me in order to marry me, or whatever we agree to, the dowry or extra, so that you can let me out or give me divorce. Okay? What if they don't agree to that? And she has a legitimate reason. If she has a legitimate reason where it is something that the judge would figure out that it is an error, a fatal error, a woman cannot live with her husband because he's abusive, then he would give her divorce, which would be called fasakh, without having to pay him anything. But if she says it is impossible to live with him and I do not hold anything against him, as the incident which happened with the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَتَرُدِّينَ عَلَيْهِ حَدِيقَتَهُ, and would you pay him back his garden which he gave it to you as a dowry? She said yes. So if this is the case, al-khula will be processed. One of the major differences between al-khula and al-talaq, that al-khula is like a talaqun ba'in, irreversible divorce. So the husband would not have the power of revoking this divorce or taking her back. A major difference also, in the case of al-talaqul ba'in, which is irreversible divorce, and in the case of the khula, the woman does not have to stay in the same house where she lived in with her ex-husband. Why? The ayah of Surah Al-Talaq, لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا يأتين بفاحشة مبينة, only with regards to the first and the second divorces. Barakallah fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Abu Mujahid from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Shaykh.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the program, Abu Mujahid.
How are you, Shaykh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
I would like to ask you, some of the scholars that claim that even the authentic hadith like Bukhari and Muslim, some hadith, they claim that they are contradictory to the Quran. For example, they say that one famous hadith, when during the tahajjud time, when Allah comes down to the first sky and asked the people who are ready to take the pardon, I am ready to pardon that. He claimed that when Allah, the Quran ayah is Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arsh istawa. When Allah is ala al-Arsh, when He comes down, the whole world, universe, else there is at a time, where is the tahajjud time is there. So if Allah keep in the first sky, it means they claim that.
Abu Mujahid, why are you so angry?
That the should be empty. That is the question. So this hadith would not be, contradict to the Quran.
Abu Mujahid, can you hear me?
Excuse me.
He can hear me. Okay, I got your question. Thank you. Okay, it's easy to handle this, but I want you to calm down. Okay? Barakallah feek. Abdullah from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Abdullah.
I have one question. I actually asked during the last program of Huda about fast, but I still want to make some more I want to still get some more clarifications, please. What I meant was that if the blood stops, maybe let me say after 3 days postpartum, the blood stops and then comes back after 5 days. What will be the condition of the prayer of the woman for those 2 days in between? And then it doesn't stop at that. It stops and then comes back again before the 40 days gets completed.
Okay, sure. Sister, if you can remind me with the name? Sister Abdullah from Nigeria. She asked last time about the postpartum bleeding, and I said the maximum is 40 days. That if the bleeding is continuous. And I also said that it is not necessarily 40 days. There are some women who may experience the cease of the bleeding or the post-delivery bleeding a couple days after delivery. Then she must take ghusl to remove the major impurity and pray. She said now that she experienced tahara and she performed ghusl and she's been praying for 5 days. Then later she has seen the blood once again. I'm going to ask a question. The blood which you have seen once again, has it come during your regular period time? Like you know that around the 7th, the 8th, the 10th, 15th, normally you have your monthly menses. If this is the case, and after seizing the blood of the postpartum bleeding, then right away, now we shift into a new system, which is the menses, okay? What if it is not? No, it is not. And the blood has completely ceased, and for several days, your prayer during those days is valid. The prayer during those days is valid because you should have prayed. You have seen the tahara. Okay, what if it comes again? You will be the only person who can tell. Is this your regular menses time? Oh yes, okay, then you gotta stop. You treat it as a menses. No, it is not, okay. Then once again, you're the only person who can tell because of the physical characteristics of the bleeding or the blood. Does it have the same color, the same offensive smell, or it's different? If it is yes, then you should treat it as a period or postpartum bleeding. It is the same when it comes to the hukm with regards to not being able to pray. I hope that clarifies your second question. Sister Maryam from Benin. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ask Huda.
I have a question. I'm married since 2003. Now, alhamdulillah, I have 4 children.
MashaAllah. May Allah bless you and your family.
And alhamdulillah, my husband gives all of me, food, clothes, everything. But he don't have time to stay at home with us. And now he wants to get a second wife.
Yeah, I could figure that.
I'm afraid that he will leave us. That is, I need your...
I got it, Sister
I need your advice.
Okay, I got it, Sister Maryam. Barakallah feek. Thank you. Sister Kulthum from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, Allah has blessed me with the opportunity to perform my Hajj. During the Hajj, I used to try my possible best to see. I visit the Rawda every day.
MashaAllah, congratulations.
Yeah, but when I came back, then I read this hadith that لَعَنَ اللَّهُ الزَّاوِرَاتِ الْقُبُورِ. So, does this include the Prophet's grave?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, and I shall explain this hadith as well. So as a direct and a short answer to your question, no, you did just fine and perfect, alhamdulillah, and you're very lucky that you got to enter into a rawda every day during performing the ziyarah. Okay, that's perfectly fine. As far as your hadith, inshallah, if we get time, I will comment on the hadith and its meaning. And if not, then inshallah, we will push it to the next session, inshallah. We have Sister Patrice from Sister Patrice had a couple of questions. The first was with regards to making up the missed prayers. And I asked, are we talking about 1, 2, or 5 prayers like a day? Or we're talking about a long period of time? She said months. Okay. In this case, normally I share with you the different views, especially when the view is valid and is supported with a sound proof. Then we help each other to choose what is most befitting. The vast majority of the fuqaha are of the view that, yes, you should make up the missed prayers. And how would you make them up? Now, you pray with each fard prayer 1 or 2 or 3. Like I prayed Fajr, pray 2 or 3. And you mark down on your calendar until you drop all the missed prayers. Would that really make it up? You know, in postponing a single prayer from its fixed time, it's a major sin. But this is an attempt to show your sincerity in repenting unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hope that it will be accepted. Okay. We have the view of some scholars such as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and others who adopt the view that whenever a person quit praying for a long period of time and did not pray at all, then he has become a non-Muslim. Relying on a hadith, or actually a hadith, profound hadith, such as when the Prophet ﷺ said that the difference between Muslims and non-Muslims is the prayer. Whoever does not pray, he is one of them, not one of us, and so on. So they say deliberately skipping the prayer for a long time turns a person into disbelief. So if he or she repented and they resumed, they said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That means they have entered Islam all over again. They started from the beginning. And they encourage the person to increase offering an-nawafil, which you say the voluntary or supererogatory prayers. And they said as much as possible. Those nawafil, not to make up the missed prayers, rather to increase the balance of your good deeds. To increase the balance of the good deeds. In general, if we have fard and we have nafl, the fard is given superiority and you offer the nafl 10,000 nafl. It's not equivalent to one fard. To make it easier for you to understand and comprehend what I'm saying, if you go for Hajj, for the very first time, this Hajj is Hajjatul Islam. Appreciated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a great deal, and you just fulfill the 5th pillar of the deen. Then you happen to perform Hajj because you lived in Mecca for the next 20 years. Every single year you go for Hajj. Those 20 times of Hajj are not compared to the very first Hajj. Why? Because the first Hajj is the fard. While what comes after the fard is nafl. The hadith says, there is nothing, Allah the Almighty says in the sacred hadith, nothing that my servant can do in order to draw near to me better than fulfilling what I have ordained on him, al-fard. The obligatory 5 prayers, fasting during Ramadan, performing the first Hajj, giving the zakah. But my servant will continue to draw nearer and nearer to me via offering an-nawafil, the voluntary acts of worship. So these are means of approach, means of begging Allah to forgive you for your past, means of increasing the asset and the balance of your good deeds. We ran out of time, and inshallah in the next time I shall begin by answering the pending questions. Until then, I leave you in the care of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.